This week's tactic is my all-time probably favourite manager, Jose Mourinho, and we are looking at his record-breaking Real Madrid side from the 2011-2012 season. I've played a few games. I've then done a simulation, so just to show you guys that like the simulation, just to see how the tactic's done. We'll talk a few issues about the current squad and how it was difficult to fit into this system. I've kind of realised Real Madrid have a really, really thin squad, and it kind of costs us a few points. We have managed to win the double, so it's not the end of the world. I'm going to break it down, show you which players played in what positions, what rules as well. Now, for Patreons, or if you're interested in joining the Patreon, the tactic download will be available in the Patreon, which is linked down in the description. If you would like to become a Patreon, go check out the link down in the description. Thank you to all the guys that are on the other half of the screen, either that side or that side. I don't know which way editor Matt has done it. Thank you very much for your support. Muchly appreciated. Alright, if you're not a Patreon, don't worry. I am going to go through all the team instructions and player instructions so you can follow it along and copy this bad boy in yourselves. Alright, we're talking Benzema, we're talking peak Ronaldo, we're talking Di Maria, we're talking Kaká as well, and of course Ozil playing in that number 10 shirt. And we've kind of got the best out of Eden Hazard, to be fair, in that number 10 role, because Real Madrid don't really have that number 10 at the moment. Alright guys, let's get into it. Smash a like on today's video and let me know down in the comments what tactical video you would like me to recreate on next week. On next week? Next week. Alright guys, let's go. Okay, so this is the simulation that we have done. We have won the league. We've lost 3 games. I think after the simulation I played up until the World Cup. We'd lost 1 game. That was to Atletico Madrid. And since then we've lost 3. So for a simulation, because I've kind of noticed simulations kind of kill the tactic a little bit. And they've moved. The assistant manager has played players in positions that I wasn't playing in. Highly frustrating, but I just thought I'd show you. So it does work in terms of a tactic on FM. 27 wins, 7 draws, only 4 defeats, 89 scored, only 27 conceded. Really good, obviously solid defensive base. We didn't actually have a bad run towards the end of the season as well. So I played up until the World Cup. Finished with this before the World Cup. Beat Atleti 6-3. We'll have a look at that game in a little bit. And then we only lost to Betis in the Supercopa. We lost after the World Cup restarted, but we didn't have Benzema. The problem with the Real Madrid squad is they're like real lacking depth. I don't know what, like, as soon as I had like 3 or 4 players injured, we were at panic stations a little bit. And up until the World Cup, when that schedule is Saturday, Wednesday, or Sunday, Wednesday, with like La Liga games and then Champions League games, the squad gets pulled apart. It's not a very deep squad, but we managed to get over the line. We had some really impressive results in and around October. Look, all them clean sheets and all those wins. Smashing Athletic, beating Juventus, Real Valladolid, Getafe and Celta Vigo. Beating Real Madrid, Barcelona. I'm going to show you that game because that was a proper Jose Mourinho against like the Guardiola. Obviously Xavi, similar tactics. So we'll show you that one as well. And then we lost at the last game of the season as well. 2-0 away at Elche. By the looks of it, Vinny got sent off, but that was on the 90th minute. Okay, here is the 4-2-3-1. And as you can tell, look at the players. They're absolutely dead on their feet. It's been a real struggle just because these are the La Liga rules of 25 players named, and they have to be, for them to qualify as like not being registered, they have to be pretty young. Not like you can get away with in England having some sort of like decent 20-year-olds and stuff. In La Liga, it's quite strict. It means the squad is quite small, and obviously it suits real life better, but in FM terms, you really need to have 2 players in each position, and we don't really have that, especially in like the AP role. You know, we've got Mariano as a backup to Benzema. It's not been great, but we've made it through. This is the progress. So I played up until this point here. So we'd played 15, only lost 1, drew 3, and won 11 of the 15 games. So a really good, solid start. We've started with a sweeper keeper on defend. That was obviously Casillas. No player instructions. Quite basic. Nothing too fancy from Casillas. He wasn't amazing with the ball, but I'm asking him just to hopefully play out from the back. The right back, if you can remember, was Arbeloa, the former Liverpool defender a lot of the time. Not great going forward, so we put him as a fullback on support with the player instructions of hold position, which he doesn't like because he wants to get forward whenever possible. He does get forward a little bit, but I'm wanting to hold his runs a little bit. Obviously, Carvajal liked to get forward, take fewer risks, hold position, and sit narrower, so we could just build with a little bit of a 3. The right centre-half, now I have been playing Militao in that role more. This is the Sergio Ramos role. Dribble more, close down more, tackle harder, a little bit erratic, but I think it kind of suits that Sergio Ramos. And once again, probably my favourite player instruction, dribble more at the moment as a ball-playing defender. Really enjoying seeing him run and carry the ball into them areas, sort of like breaking into the opposition's even final third. The left back is the Pepe. Central defender on defend. I just thought I'd just leave it on defend, but what you could do is trigger press more often so he goes in there a little bit. And obviously, and to be fair, really, you should have tackle harder on for Pepe. Left back, wing back on support, no play instructions. That was obviously Marcelo. You could have that as a complete wing back. I have watched all of the goals. There is a YouTube video, all of the goals from the 2011-2012 season, all La Liga goals, and I watched them all 120, was it 121 of them? And Marcelo did get into these areas and scored a few goals by actually getting into the penalty area. So you could argue maybe that as a complete wing-back on support. Into the middle of midfield, this is where we're talking Xavi Alonso and Sami Khedira. I've gone for Xavi Alonso, take more risks with deep line playmaker on defend, just so he just holds the shape a little bit. He doesn't get too far forward. Just to defend, just makes him hold his position a little bit better. And the Volante, Valverde, Sami Khedira, so good, does late busting runs sort of like into the final third. We've got him as a Volante, so he'll obviously start deeper and then move later on. Not attack, just on support. Remember, we're still Jose Mourinho. There was still a good basis of a team and allowed these front four to really go. Now, the most interesting one is probably the Di Maria role on this right-hand side. I've put him as a winger. I've kind of spoke about this a little bit with players like Anthony in the past and Kvaratskhelia at Napoli. Now, Di Maria, obviously he's left-footed and would naturally come in, but he started so wide. He was so wide. What they would do is they'd start the ball on the left and leave Di Maria right on that right-hand side, and at the same time then obviously keeping the pitch as big as possible. Now, he would often drift in on his left side. He would still go on the right side, so I've just put him as a winger on support. If you go inverted winger, even if you put the player instruction of stay wider, they start here, and it's just not what he did. So I'm hoping with that role that he would, because of the player traits of like a Rodrigo, cuts inside from both wings, he will naturally cut in on his left foot. So that's why we've done that. Yeah, you don't imagine Di Maria as a winger, but because he went round that way and started wide, he hugged the touchline, very much like what Pep Guardiola does with his wingers, Grealish, Mahrez. Even though they invert in, they start wide, and in the game, unfortunately, the inverted wingers just start way too narrow. I'm probably going to do a video on it soon to explain the differences between the two. So that's why I've put it. By all means, put it as an inverted winger on support with the instruction of maybe stay wider, but you won't get the amount of width that you will get and what we're trying to recreate with that Di Maria role. Okay, the number 10, I did have it as a Trequartista, but I just found him a little bit too floaty. He was sometimes up and around Benzema a little bit too much. I wanted him to really sit in and around the penalty area and either dribble with it or just play those cute little passes. An advanced playmaker on attack has made that work. So I'm really happy with how that now looks with the Ozil role and the sort of like the picking out of the passes. Very clever. And as I said, Eden Hazard has made a superb start for me. 9 goals he'd scored, 7 in La Liga in only 10 starts. So obviously a really good role for Eden Hazard. And then the left-hand side, it's Ronaldo, it's Vinny Jr. for now. I've got inside forward on attack with the player instruction of sit narrower. He wouldn't hug the touchline too much. He basically acts as a second striker. Wouldn't help with the defending either. They would, in transitions, they were so good on the counter-attack, mainly because Ronaldo would stay up. He would often, decent in the air. Benzema, decent in the air. They would often play quickly. So one of those two, Ronaldo would kind of cheat in these kind of areas here with obviously Benzema now central. Now Benzema, I've had to change his role just to try and get a little bit more of a tune out of him. I started with a deep line forward on attack because he would kind of rotate round, he would drift, he would do a little bit of everything, but he just wasn't giving us that real goal threat that you would expect from a Benzema or even a Higuain who came in at times. So I've gone with an advanced forward. He does still drop in, hold the ball really well. I think that's dependent on the player traits of obviously your central striker, but that has suited the game a little bit better, and we've got a miles better tune out of Benzema. He's finished this, he's already on 20. 12 in 13, so obviously my progress works better than what obviously the simulation does with the assistant manager for the second half of the season. Okay, no player instructions for Benzema. And then moving into the team instructions, quite basic. I did start off on attacking. I just thought, no, that's not Jose Mourinho. The mentality was, with the players, with the two sitters, with the defenders, was not crazy. You've got that creative quality in there anyway with your attacking four. There was no need to push it in terms of the mentality. So I've just put it back onto positive. In possession, fairly wide. An argument, if you're going to go with that inverted winger, is then to put it on as wide as possible. Slightly shorter passing. There wasn't an over-reliance on tiki-taka. It wasn't too direct. So quite basic, and then slightly higher tempo. Run at defence with your wide players and obviously the number 10, and everything else left us blank. No hit early crosses. They did put a serious amount of crosses into the penalty area, but I didn't want to force it. I also didn't want to work the ball into the box, and I found a nice little balance with that. In transition, no counter press. Benzema was quite good at it back in the day. He was obviously a lot younger, 12 years younger. He would have been 23, 24, so obviously a lot better. But not a reliance on the counter-press, so I've left that out. Counter-attack, yes, because they were so good at it. Take short kicks. And I've asked for the distribution to go to Ramos, Pepe and Ramos. A lot of the time, if the ball did go out to Pepe, it would then go to Ramos anyway, who would do a lot of the progressing, either the carrying or the passing. So I've just got that on just so he gets more passes than Pepe. And then out of possession, I did start with just the mid-block because there wasn't over-reliant on a high press, but we were just getting a little bit too compact in that middle third. So what I did do is just tweak the high press on a little bit, just so we could start maybe Benzema with the press a little bit quicker, with the trigger press just up one, trap outside, getting nice and narrow and compact, what a Jose Mourinho team likes to do, and stop crosses. All right, guys, it's quite a basic, simple tactic. It's going to be solid. I did enjoy it. As I said, I feel like I could have done better with a different side, but I obviously wanted to do it Real Madrid. Said the attacking areas probably cost us a little bit in terms of, not having that out and out, maybe winger on that right-hand side, maybe changing that if you have a right footer. Absolutely perfect. As I said, if you want to change to inverted winger, yes, open out the pitch, make the pitch bigger, and make sure the player restriction on is stay wider. Let's go and see how it looks in the match engine. Okay, so the first one we're going to show you is the El Clasico 2-0. 2 goals from Valverde. Really good, positive, deep runs with that Volante on support. And as you can see, they had 60% of the ball. A bit of a Jose Mourinho masterclass, but we dominated in terms of the XG. Well, not the XG. Yeah, we did. XG. Created the better chances, limited them to only 2 on target with an XG of 0.47. Absolutely control. Jose loves the word control, and that is what this performance was. Okay, so here's the first goal. We're just going to let's mark him. There's Valverde. There's our 2. Okay, there's Valverde. Keep your eye on him. Obviously, the goal scorer. We play it simple. Militao, Tchouaméni's playing as a deep line playmaker on defend. Valverde just still there in that middle third, looking for it. Moves, and then he just makes a run. Obviously, Barca have got a high line, and that is a tremendous run for the Volante. I think the Volante works so good with those types of runs when obviously you're playing against a Barca side that are trying to press a high line, spacing behind, a run from deep as well. If that was maybe a run from Benzema, highly likely that he'd be offside, so that's where you need your runners from deep, and that Volante gives that so much. And obviously, Valverde is actually really good going forward. Probably better than what maybe a Sami Khedira was. And then here we go, we win the ball back. Valverde again, winning the play. And then we're off. Breakdown in possession, we get the ball. There is Vinny playing as the Ronaldo role. If it was that in, and if we didn't have that sit now instruction, he'd probably be out here. But he's got into a lovely position between the centre half and the right back. And then hopefully with that, Alaba can slip him, which he does. Gets him into a good area. Where is Valverde? There he is, lurking on the edge of the area. Waits for his time. Brilliant pick out. It's a brilliant check. Look, it's a brilliant goal, but the movements are there. The little player instructions that I've put into the tactic, you can really see. And obviously that Segundo Volante, you just need that Segundo Volante just to have a little bit of a quality going forward in terms, obviously you need your strength, your power, but if they have the technique of a Valverde, you will see so many more goal contributions. So that was the 2-0. Right, so this is the second goal. The first goal was just a goal from a set piece, and what I do like is Eden Hazard's position. So he's in a nice little space at the moment, but what we wanted from Ozil is just that little simple, get the ball and play it, and this is what he does for the goal. I think there's a little turnover in possession. Yeah, he wins it, and then it's just look, it's an obvious pass, it's a simple pass, but he does it. Simple, then obviously Benzema is in, and I can just imagine Ozil doing that. So many passes in particular as well when he was at Arsenal. So many passes where he just coolly got it and just slotted someone else in. When you've got a Benzema up there as well, absolutely lethal in front of goal. We're also very good from set pieces. I said the first goal was from set pieces. So many goals. Watch that video. I will actually leave a link in the description to the goals that Real Madrid scored during that season. So good from set pieces. And then Toni Kroos playing the deep line playmaker on defend. Remember, we're asking him to take more risks. Good passing. Ceballos is now playing as sort of like the number 10 into Benzema. Asensio is doing the Ronaldo role, as he said, nice and narrow. Pretty much acting as like a second striker. As you could see, makes a really good central run. I think if we didn't have that sit narrow on, we won't get that run from him because he started really narrow. He'd probably be out here making that run from maybe the left back, like coming in from the shoulder of the right back. And then he's in, and it's a really good finish. All right, guys, that is it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I think it's a good, solid football manager tactic that will definitely win you games at probably any level because it's quite simple in terms of the team instructions and the roles. You could find that advanced playmaker just slot through. You don't need much in terms of physical attributes. Remember, Hazard's physicals in the game are not very good, and he's worked that role perfectly. We would have probably cracked 100 points, I think, if I'd have played through the whole season. But I just don't have time to play through 60 games every week on top of everything else. All right, guys, let me know how it works for you. I said change that maybe winger role. What would you do if you were the Real Madrid manager? As Jose Mourinho, what would you have in the game? Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, thank you very much. Next week, we're going to be looking at Thomas Tuchel's Bayern Munich, how they've set up. And also coming on the channel, we're going to be looking at Xavi Alonso's 3-4-3 at Leverkusen. All that next week. So make sure you've liked today's video and subscribe to the channel. Check out the Patreon as well. Muchly appreciated. Take care. See you later.